Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Big Bold You, a show that is dedicated to inspiring every person out there. And yes, I am talking about you to be bigger, to play bigger, to think bigger, so you can step out of your comfort zones and be bolder. So ultimately, you can become the best version of yourself. I believe that we live in a world where there is a war between good and evil. And the only way evil wins is when good people like ourselves don't do enough. So every Monday at 3 p.m. Central, we have a new episode, we have a new topic, we have a new guest, and the whole purpose is to help expand what it is that you're doing in your life so you can make a bigger positive impact on the world. And I'm telling you, I love my guest that I have on the show today. Terri Rivera. She is the founder of Reflective Focus. She's really a connector. She connects people, a philanthropic nonprofit connector, but she's got a heart as big as Texas, and I just love her. I've known you for like 10 plus years.
Very long time.
I know, a long time.
Well, 10 years isn't much now.
No, not at all. Not at all. It is a blink. And believe me, we're going to blink and it's going to be another 10 years, but we're going to still be looking just as good, okay? And
that's right.
We're going to be having just as much fun, and we're really going to be helping as many people as we can, because that's really both of our hearts, who we are. But tell everybody just a little bit about who you are, and where did you give this giving heart? Where'd you get it from?
Well, I have been doing basically volunteer work for about 25 years. And I guess just since I was a kid and going to church, and my parents just being very, very big on giving back and just raising me right, and my two brothers. And I just have always had a heart for people. And I've had a couple situations in my life where people that were very close to me passed away. And I just felt like there was something more I could do to help them. In particular, they both committed suicide. So it was really hard for me to kind of navigate through that until I learned a lot of things. And I got my counseling degree, my master's, in 2006. And I was on my way to becoming a licensed professional counselor, and my dad got real sick, and he and my mom moved here. And then my son was going through some things, and I just felt like God was saying, stop, just keep volunteering. And I became a Stephen minister through my church, but it's non-denominational. It's just working with somebody one-on-one, caregiver situation. So I've been doing that for about 12 years, and I love that. And I've been volunteering with kids, did our youth group, and then I did a couple internships and things with my degree that were about working with at-risk kids, and then working at a domestic violence shelter in Plano, and working with women one-on-one there. So I've done a lot of that kind of trauma work and stuff like that. So,
well, a couple of things that you talked about that I think are so important is, number one, you had that as an example. As you were growing up, obviously you grew up in a spiritual religious family. You saw your parents give. They taught you from their examples. And I think it's important because, I don't know about you, but don't you think that back in the day when we were growing up, it just wasn't as hustle and bustle? I think sometimes the kids now, they're just so overwhelmed. And I think even sometimes as parents, we are shuffling our kids from one event to another event, and we've got such a focus on things and doing, but we're not showing us giving as much. Right. And I think it's really, really important. And you and I both say this all the time. I don't believe that people don't give because they don't want to give. I believe they're not giving or they're not doing and contributing because they just don't know where to go or what to
Exactly.
do. So you've kind of figured out some ways, some tips, some things to share with people on, if you're sitting there watching this right now saying, uh-oh, I'm feeling a little bit guilty because I'm not doing I may not be doing very much to anybody right now, but you have a giving heart yourself. I mean, what are some things that people can go to or you can suggest that they follow up with?
Well, truthfully, when I started doing my business that you
Right.
inspired through the mastermind that I was a part of, and just starting a new business was about networking, but she knew my heart. She
Right.
really figured
Always.
out, like, Terry, I know that's number one in your life is the giving back. So start a networking event where you can bring somebody in to talk about your passion, which is sex trafficking, the fight on sex trafficking. And so I did do that for about a year. And I connected with a lady that was a survivor, and that was nice. I mean, we just kept learning every time I did it, which was about every 6 weeks. I would learn so much and meet new people, and I love that. That's just like brings me joy. People energize me big time.
Right.
So I have to have that piece, and I brought that together. And then I realized I can make a little bit more of maybe a business about this, but yet still the passion is number one. And so I saw so many nonprofits out there that were doing things and they were struggling.
Yes.
They did not have a business plan. Their fundraising plan was just kind of hit or miss. And I still see that a lot, especially in the newer developed or the ones that just become established as a 501c3. And so my heart said, I can help them with this. And so now I'm trying to do that and reach out and connect nonprofits through a quarterly event that I'm hosting, and it's called 100 Women Who Care of Dallas. There are some other groups out in the DFW area doing similar things, but it's called the 100 Women because we ask each person to come and bring $100, and we have 3 vetted nonprofits there that speak about their mission, their ministry, and what $100 will specifically do for them. So you know where your dollars are going, and you get to see these people, get to talk to them, you can connect with them and talk to them later, maybe volunteer with them, maybe
That's
just
so
do something that
awesome.
could really help them in a different way. And I
Okay.
love that piece of it because that's really touching our
Well,
communities.
okay, and to me, I think this is something so doable and it's so impactful. So once a quarter,
It's a quarter.
once a
yes.
quarter, if this is something that you say, look, let me step my foot into the pond and see how I can just learn more about nonprofits. One of the things that we were talking about before the show is, golly, if you want to give or you want to make an impact, you want to do something, you don't really know where to start. And you were saying, how many nonprofits are there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
Probably, I did my little research, and it's actually, this research was a few years ago. So between Dallas and Houston, so I'm going to say Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston proper, or Houston area, there was over 100,000 a couple years ago. So now there's more. So let's say between them 50,000, and then Fort Worth has a few. I'd say we have at least 30 to 40,000 here in the Dallas area alone.
So, I mean, to
So-
me, that means that there's something for every person. There's some organization, and I don't know, there's probably 2 or 3 organizations that might speak to your heart where you can give back, whether it's with your time or whether it's with your money. But I love that what you're doing. So once a quarter, how does somebody, if they say, hey, Terri Rivera, I love what you're doing, I want to come to one of those events, I'm going to bring $100 with me because I want to be able to donate to one of those three causes. Or if you're a philanthropic and you want to be one of the 3, I mean, how do people get that information?
Okay, so basically what I'm doing right now is my next event. I had my first one through this 100 Women. That group got turned over to me, and they basically started at UTD, and now it's going to be about the same area, vicinity. The first event we had was at the Coffee House Cafe in North Dallas, at Preston and Frankfurt. The next one, I have to figure out that location, but it will be Thursday, August 15th from 6 to 8 p.m., and the location may be right around the area of the tollway in Frankfurt. Like there's a Picasso's over there. We may use them because the 100 Women were using them in the past. So I'm just looking right now for people that are willing to possibly donate a venue. I've had beautiful women come to me and offer all the food and drink for my events, which is beautiful. They just donate that. My 3 nonprofits, believe it or not, it's basically by word of mouth. I haven't done any like formal advertising or putting any kind of like
Well, I'm sure because
documentation
but
out
just
there.
like you said, there's so many. There are so many, and
Yes.
once you start getting into the world of nonprofits, which you are very deep in, and I want to talk about the human trafficking because I know that's near and dear to your heart.
Yes.
And let me tell you, you have this person right here, Miss Terri Rivera. You've got so much knowledge on that topic and how we can make a difference and an impact on that. But I have no doubt because you're so heavily involved in that people just come to you. But I want to make a challenge to each and every person that's watching this podcast today, or if you're watching it, after we record it, so live or recorded, I really want you to get in touch with Terri, and I want you to be at that August 15th event. If you've got a 501c3, maybe this is not going to be the August event, but we can slide you into the next quarter event because you're attracting the people that want to make a difference and give.
Absolutely.
So as soon as we get all the details, we're going to make sure that we get that information out to you. So what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Okay, if you want to put it up on the screen, you can, but it's 100womenofdallas.org.
Okay, 100
Okay.
Women Dallas.org.
That is the website. And I'm keeping that updated as best as I can. And
Okay.
right now we have the date of August 15th. The next one's November 7th, just to
Okay.
tell you guys that are really good planners.
Hey,
'Cause
you know I am.
I'm more winging it. But
Hey,
no, I'm just
listen.
kidding.
This is one of the things when you were doing your events. I mean, I have to have the dates because I want
Yeah.
to go, and if I don't have it, a lot of times things come up. But
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything on
Yes.
August 15th. So is that a Thursday though?
It is a Thursday.
Okay, I do
yes.
know that is our eWomen Network event. So I'll make
Oh,
sure.
there he's got the website up. Yay!
Yay!
Thank
Okay,
you.
awesome. Join us. 58 days,
Yes.
21 hours, 47 minutes.
You've got
40
58
seconds.
days to think about it. That's really great. And we'll have the location as soon as I do confirm that on there. And then, of course, November 7th, I'll have that as well. And I've actually not worked with her, but talked to a lady named Kara Mendelson.
Mm-hmm.
And she just ran for, Community City Council. And she's highly involved in all the things going on in the community, wants to help. She wants to be at these events. She wants to bring people. So it's people like that are very inspiring to me, that spread the word around by word of mouth and by what she's doing, because she's obviously out there publicly, and that's super cool. So I love all of that, and that's what I'm working for right now, to build into really expanding this and getting 100 women there. And I really want to make 100 men and women. Women and men.
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Definitely, let's start with 100 women, and let's get 100 women there August the 15th. And then yes, let's bring the guys along.
Yes.
Let's bring the guys along.
Yeah.
Because what an impact that is. And what I love about what you're saying is, you have the 3, you'll be able to get a presentation. And when you talked about suicide, I mean, that's near and dear to my heart.
I thought so.
Because I have, I know people that have died by suicide, and I had this amazing, incredible couple on whose daughter died by suicide, and they're heavily involved in the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, and I'd
that's awesome.
love to get them connected with you on this because
Yeah,
it'll be
that would be
phenomenal.
great. I would love that.
But before we jump into, okay, how do you know where to go? Tell us a little bit about human trafficking and how you
Okay.
got involved in that, and then how every one of us watching, can make an impact for good on that.
Okay. Well, what happened with the trafficking was, I was at an event and somebody started talking about sex trafficking. And I said, what? Trafficking? Yeah, I've heard of labor trafficking, when people come over the border or what have you in that way. And they said, no, sex trafficking. And I said, well, tell me more about it. And they started giving me statistics, and I about threw up. It just made me sick to my stomach. And I really prayed about it, and I heard God and the Holy Spirit saying, do something with this. If it's just teaching people awareness, just do something. And that's all I did, through what I did with Jen's. And I created this little networking group / awareness building. I brought in a lot of people that just wanted to know what was going on. Like friends of mine have no clue.
Right.
There's
I didn't have any clue.
and I've been doing this for a year, Jens,
Right.
and there's still so many people that go, I didn't know that was happening in our backyard. There's at any given night in Dallas, there's about 400 teenagers that are being trafficked.
And it's just
So
sickening.
that's disgusting.
It is disgusting. It's disgusting. It's sickening, and we can't allow it to happen.
Yeah, and it's here, guys. It's not just overseas.
No.
There was an incident, I will tell you, this just happened last week, and this really made me sick, and this is why I put the clip in that I did. A lady that I know through a little prayer group that I'm part of, she was here with her daughter. She is from Africa. They went back to Sierra Leone because she does mission work here, and then she's back there doing mission work as well. Her daughter is 5, precious little child. Oh my gosh, I saw her, talk to her and all that. About a week or so ago, she was kidnapped. And thank goodness that she was a U.S. citizen, so they stopped both borders. They alerted them and gave a great description of her. They found her with, I think, 7 other girls. They were ages 5 to 7.
Oh my gosh.
And
Terri.
she was in critical condition. One of the girls passed away. This is serious. This
yeah.
is so serious. And I hate even talking about it. It gives me chills.
I know.
Like,
I just
really
got
want to
chills
cry.
too. I got chills too.
Because that mom was just, I'm sure she was going crazy.
Well,
going crazy.
So you've got to explain to people. Maybe we should watch the video first. Should we
Okay,
watch the
let's
video
do
first?
that. Yeah,
Okay,
let's
so
do
we're
that.
going to watch a video, and we're not watching the full video, but we will give the link to the full video in the comment box, and because we want everybody to be able to watch the full video, but we're only going to be really watch about the first minute.
These are our children, and every day, what you may not realize is that our American kids are having so much stolen from them. Their childhood and their innocence is being stolen every day. 1 out of 3 little girls and 1 out of 5 little boys are hiding the secret of childhood sexual abuse. And this abuse starts usually at 3, 4, 5 years old at the hand of somebody they should trust. By 12 to 14, they'll run away. And within 48 hours, 80% of them run right into the arms of a predator, who we now call a trafficker, who literally only has to say, "Are you hungry? Do you need a place to stay? I'll love you." And with that, he lures them in, and they're sold 15 to 40 times a day for sex for up to 7 years.
So that's part of the statistics that I learned about as well. Like they say now, of 3 children, 2 are girls and 1 is a boy. She kind of said that. And within 48 hours, absolutely. A lot of times it's not just a predator, it is a sex trafficker that finds them. There was a story of 2 girls that were in a rehab facility, and they were 13 and I believe 12. And they ran away from there, got out, and within actually less than 24 hours, I think it was a matter of 12 hours, they were at a 7-Eleven, and traffickers just drove up and started talking to them, and actually one of the girls had got a hold of her mom, and the mom came and got her, so she got out, but the other girl went with the trafficker. So, and I don't know the timing exactly on that, but that happens. I mean, that was in downtown Dallas. I mean, this is for real. This isn't a joke.
One of the things that you have really done an excellent job with awareness and educating, specifically with me, is explaining to parents and to people that a lot of times these victims are groomed as well. So explain to people that, there's so many different ways that these predators, these traffickers can grab your children, and you probably aren't even aware of it. So share with us a little bit about that information.
Okay. Basically, the social media, the online websites, anything that your child is on that has to do with IT, technology is questionable. And you as a parent, I suggest highly that you really monitor that, There are apps. In fact, I did an event where I had the list of apps and the pictures of them to pass out to all the parents that were there. There are some apps out there that seem very innocent, like Snapchat is actually one of them. There's a locator on that, so predators like to use that and jump in where they can find kids that don't know how to turn that off or have whatever. And so they know exactly where they're at, and then they start luring them in with, oh, you're beautiful, because that's all about pictures, right? So here you're seeing this person, and the little predator creepers, that I call them, are on there looking, and they're really, really very astute at this, and I hate using even a positive word because they're just so gross. But they are very good at finding kids. So that is one big area, the apps. Look at your children's apps. I'm trying to get that updated with one of my millennial girls that I'm working with, because they're so good at keeping up with those things. And then there's just the websites. If you're on Facebook and you're saying, oh, I'm so mad at my mom, she really pissed me off, and I'm just going to da-da-da-da-da. Maybe they're not saying they're going to run away, but they're alluding to that. Then that's a quick way for somebody to jump in that's just out there searching and looking. And there's our dark web, which you guys might not know about, but there is a dark web where people go in search of this. And it does have a lot to do with pornography. Pornography is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, problems with this, and all sexual exploitation. If we could quit pornography, if we could stop pornography in the United States, we would win a very big battle. But we know reality, and so we're just in this fight to help people understand what's going on, to teach children, especially from age, let's say, 10 to 18, about respect and what to look for when somebody's not respecting someone. And whether it's somebody in their life, like a parent or a sibling, that's disrespectful or hurting them physically, mentally, emotionally, or it's just somebody in their circles. If it's friendship, if you're a girl and a guy and you're talking online, and then maybe somebody else jumps in and you're like, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't get that. Where'd that person come from? Do you know them?
Right.
You know, if you don't know them personally, that's a big red flag right there. So teaching your children that, do not talk to strangers. Like stranger danger, we've learned that since we were little kids. But now it's like stranger danger on the internet. Well, be aware.
Right. Well, and here's the thing too, when you're talking about the internet. So obviously these people, a lot of times, you call them creepers.
Yes.
These creepers are getting on, and they're making profiles that are not really
That's
who they
right.
are anyway.
Yep.
And they're going back and forth, and they start a relationship. And, you know, like you said, okay, stranger danger, if you are in somebody and it's live, okay, that's a stranger, I don't know that person. But what happens online is, okay, they friended a bunch of people. You might not even know this person. Your children might not even know this person. But then when they look and it says, oh, well, they're friends with, a handful of people that I know. Okay, well, I'll accept them. And then they
Right.
accept, and then the relationship begins. The luring begins. And the luring can happen online, to what Terry's speaking about, but it can also happen offline, because there's traffickers also use other victims to start relationships with other
Yes.
kids, and then, oh my gosh, I become a friend with you, and I know to what you were saying on the social media, they're not happy, they're not getting along with their parents, they just broke up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and it's just, they're preying on the weak. They're
Yes.
preying on the weak. And the other big thing that you said, so of course the way my mind thinks is, I'm thinking, okay, gosh, as an adult, not only can we be teaching our children, and I don't care what age your kids are,
That's true.
you and I have been talking about, we want to get the millennial males involved in this issue, and in to be advocates, and just to learn about it, so they can, it's not that you have to go stand on a corner and make sure that nobody's being picked up. It's, you're talking to other people to say, do you know what's going on? Do you know that pornography has a vile and negative impact on
Yes.
on just the whole society as a whole? Do you know, are you talking to your kids' friends, and maybe they don't have a great relationship with their family, but maybe you step in and you help be that relationship. So it's not always about, hey, I'm going to go find a 501c3, which both Terry and I are going to encourage you to do that.
Yes.
But if you're not ready for that, there are definite things that we can do, just learning about issues, what's going on, and how we can make an impact in our own realities.
Yes, and there's a great video also, and I don't have the clip of it here. It's probably 4 minutes, 3 or 4. It's called Dear Daddy. Very easy to remember. It's one of the most, for me, I don't know why it touched me so hard. I saw it almost a year ago at a presentation by a gentleman from New Friends, New Life, which is a wonderful anti-trafficking or trafficking fighting nonprofit here in Dallas. And he particularly was working on a project called Man Kindness, or a program. And this video talks about when a girl is at the youngest age of, let's say, 5 or whatever, there are many stereotypes already brought into her life. And by the time she's a certain age, she's already been called a whore, a slut, a bitch. I'm sorry, I'm cussing on this podcast, but and other very disgusting words. And that's just something that I know my brothers said stuff like that, not to me, because I would have punched him out. but men, it's something that you don't think, you get desensitized to it.
Exactly.
And this little video will get you to go, oh my gosh, because it's a pregnant lady and her husband, and the baby's talking, Dear Daddy, I hope and pray this happens. It's just riveting, because it really makes men, and millennials will love this, because it's very focused on not teenagers, but young adults, on just respecting each other. It's not just always about men disrespecting women, because that goes in full gamuts and full circles for both sides. But it is definitely something that's so important, I think, in our generation today, that we need to really relook at and teach more respect of a lot of things we're having problems with in the professional sports arena, and just places where sex exploitation is happening, and it needs to stop. I mean, the Me Too movement is part of trying to help that. And, I'm not a crazy feminist person. Yeah, I'm not a feminist, and I'm not, a vigilante, but I definitely have passion for this to help, because we all deserve to be treated. Like Jen says, one of her big statements is, everyone is created equal. Everyone deserves respect. Everyone has a story that needs to be listened to, honored, valued. And if there's something to that you can help.
Well, one of the things I say all the time, and I mean this, is the answer is always love.
Yes.
Love
Amen.
is the answer. We have to love ourselves. We have to love one another. We have to care about what's happening to other people. And I think,
Amen.
I think that's one reason why you and I connect so well, because of that heart. But I know there are incredible people out there that they have dedicated their lives to their entire industry. And I know Fenton is one. He's amazing, and he owns the Fit and Dance Factory. But one of the things he does is he uses his gift that he's been given from God to not just teach these kids about dance, but to love them, because you've got to be loved. So, I know.
I need to meet him, Jen.
Yeah, he's amazing. We love you, Fenton. He's amazing.
Is he watching?
And listen, we've got all these incredible people. Kathy Fogarty, Heart of Gold. She's watching today, and I know one of the things that she does is she watches and takes care of young kids, because she knows the impact. And
Awesome.
I don't know.
So great.
I don't know if people realize this or not. We were talking about this. With the mastermind that I facilitate, we read a book once a month. And now we've started to bring this to the podcast. And I told Terry, I said, I don't know how I got out of my house with all of my goods today, but I got out with all my goods. So I don't have my book with me. I don't have my notes. Oops. But the book, we've decided we're going to read a book. And for the podcast, it's going to be the same book for two months.
Cool.
And the book that we're reading this month is called The Seat of the Soul. And maybe Jason can find a picture of it, but Gary Zukav is the author, Seat of the Soul. And basically what he says is, everything that we think or we do is either based from love or fear.
Right.
And part of that process, what people don't realize, and we're talking a lot about, that's it. I love it.
There
It's
it is.
amazing. It is a life-changing book. But, our brain has waves. And so we have alpha waves, we have beta waves, and we have theta waves. And y'all correct me if I'm right here, but the alpha waves.
I like ocean waves.
Yes.
Thank you.
I like ocean waves too. So the alpha waves is when we're awake. The beta waves is when we're in a more when we sleep and more subconscious, more meditative. Theta waves is what's going on in our brain when we're hypnotized. So it's a different wavelength. But children from birth to age 7 are in theta waves.
Oh, wow.
And so that's why what happens between birth and age 7 is so critical to the development of children, because
Wow, that's cool.
it's implanted into their brains at a totally different level. And that's why some people as adults can't get over things, because it happened to them as a child. It was the experiences. It was, to your point, maybe they had it wasn't the parents that were saying all these bad things.
Yeah.
Maybe they had older siblings that tortured them.
Yeah, and that's part of complex trauma.
Yes.
That part of that. Yeah, I'm learning more about that
it's
too.
a whole process, but it's
I found this
love.
image right here, Jen.
Okay, let's see. Okay, wonderful. There you go. I love it. And
That's cool.
But people don't realize the impact of what's happening from the time we are born to age 7 and beyond. And we've got to love. We've got to do more. And I know that's Terry and I are like, we got to do something.
We are doing it.
We're doing
One
it.
little person or dot that you move across the board at a time, because there will be people in our lives that are a little bit negative sometimes and go, why are you wasting your time doing something that's, this is the world.
Right.
This is, we've got good and evil. And I believe in God and I believe there's Satan.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is. But if we don't do something, and whether it's coming to an event like mine or just showing that you care and learning awareness, doesn't mean you even have to do it or be involved in it or give money. Mm-hmm. But if you just learn, then in conversations, we're all talking to people typically every day. And in conversations, you may say something and that person go, what? And then you teach, or you're just talking about something you learned, and that goes and spreads. And then it helps to stop the stuff that's going on that is wrong.
Right.
And it is wrong.
And, and one of the things I say all the time is, when you love yourself, you act differently. And sometimes we have to love on other people before they love themselves, because they've been beat down. That's one of one of the things I say is a lot of people go through a beat down in life. And if you're beaten down, you're vulnerable, and you're a bigger target to become a victim of multiple things. And when you're built up and you're special, you're limitless, that you're a child of God, that you were created for something so amazing, and we breathe that belief and hope and love into people, then there's a lot of things that you're going to be able to walk yourself out of, and then be able to invest in other people. And that's really what we're doing. And that's what you do is, let me love on you, let me support you, let me build you up, and then as you grow, you're going to be ready to go to events. As you grow, you're going to be ready to give back more, and you've got an incredible website that people can go to if you're at that place where you are ready to give back more. And it's I think you said
my website for that one, 100 Women.
Greatnonprofits.org.
Okay, greatnonprofits.org. Yes, check that out. As far as if you want to go and put in Plano or Frisco or Prosper, whatever, and you want to find a particular nonprofit or the issue that they may deal with. And this is got all kinds of issues that are filtered, so you can find anything you want. Cybersecurity is a big one right now. That's coming up and becoming more out there as what people want to really learn about and find out what's going on. So this is a great website for that. But when you come to my event, of course, you're going to meet 3 nonprofits. They know people. They bring people. they connect with each other, and they also work together and they collaborate, which is beautiful. And it's also networking your own self and your
Right,
business.
right. And
so that's how you can grow your business faster, as Jen said.
Right.
The subject of this is do it that way, and you will really be surprised how great the number of people you're going to find will be, and how it just spins. It just like turns into this catapult, like, oh, and that person knows that person, and that person knows that person. And like Jen's is connecting to billions of people, not even just in Dallas, but all over. And I was going to say that there are things going on in our realm and in our community, but watching a podcast like this, or the situation that just happened in Africa that I was talking about, I mean, that's already known. It spreads so quickly. Our media and our
Right.
intelligence and our technology just makes us be able to have all of this information right now. So that helps with us just like having even more choices out there to do what we're doing. So
Well-
I really appreciate you guys. And there's also a group called the Dallas Dream Team I wanted to tell you about. And that's a group of women right now that are looking to do what I'm doing, but they're doing it at a higher level. They're looking for 100 women to donate a certain amount for 3 years, a commitment, and they give a $100,000 grant to the nonprofit that gets chosen by a committee over the period of it's annual, so it's just once a year.
I know I've got to get involved in that.
Yeah,
because
and
I
there's
know
other
so
groups
many
here doing.
incredible people.
Yeah, it's amazing because that's they need so much funding that it's great to get that big of a chunk.
And listen, I don't know. We are spending so much money that we don't need to be spending on stuff. So you can save.
That's right.
You can save. And one thing, the title of our show is how to grow your business, how to grow yourself, how to grow your happiness, how to grow your health, how to grow your joy. And the answer is give. And the basis for give is love. And that's why it's an absolute truth that the more you give, the more you receive. And what you put out into the world is what you get back. So I don't know about you, Terri, but that's
Yeah.
why we get so much greatness back, because
We do.
we give greatness. Now, we've got an Ask Jen's question, and it's actually a question that I always try to tie to the topic of our show, because I don't want you just hearing from me. I want you to hear from our experts as well. So the Ask Jen's question today is, what's the most important thing to consider when making donations to philanthropic organizations? In my opinion, the most important thing to know is, does your heart speak to that cause? I believe that there are so many good, amazing, incredible organizations out there, but your heart and your soul is going to speak to one or two. And when you feel that intuition tell you, this speaking to me, go with that intuition. Terri,
Absolutely.
give us your 2 cents on that.
I love that, Jens, because that really speaks to what you were talking about as far as love goes. So truly, that is the first and foremost thing. And then the other thing that I think about when making a donation or thinking about even being involved is I look at the organization and I look at the people that are running it. And I don't have to do a background check. I don't know. God gave me the gift of really reading people very well. So I've got that piece, but it's also just looking at what they're doing. Actually, you can look up online at their tax form if you want to. You just go to the internet and Google their name in 501c3, and you can see how much income they received for a year. And then you can actually ask them, and they're supposed to have public budget information and things like that. So that's a way to do it if you want to do it very legalistically and business-like. But basically, because the sex trafficking issue really touched my heart, I started pursuing that and going to their events. So find out where their events are, and coming to my event, you're going to get 3 different nonprofits, of course, but at least through that, you could learn from other people that are there about others. The connections and the information that you can get is invaluable. So that's a great way. But that's what I look at, is that, like, what are they doing? And if I did give them $1,000, what would they do with it? And I'll ask them, what are you working on right now? What's a project, or what's your goal in 10 years? Do you want to build a shelter? Do you want to go over to a foreign country and start a whole new program over there? Just all different kinds of questions depending on what they're doing. And there's some local nonprofits here that are doing such cool things here. Like a lady I know is running a group that she works with cosmetology students. And a lot of them don't have very much income at all to go to school, yet alone have a business or trade degree or whatever it is to earn money to sustain themselves. So she helps them with all of that. And then she's helping them just with outreach. She does a homeless outreach once a month where she feeds the homeless with her group. So there's just really cool ones like that. Who would think of that? Like, it's crazy, you know, and that's obviously working with people. I know there's great nonprofits out there that work with animals.
Yes,
and
there's so
all
many.
types of
There's
things.
just there's so many. You can find many
Yes.
nonprofits that really speak to your heart. And I'm telling you, I loved your tips on that question, because you can tell a difference between somebody who's an expert in the field. You got a lot more tips. You got
I've
a
just
lot
been
more,
doing this and I
you got
love
a lot more
it.
tips from
I love
Terri, but it's one of the reasons why, please, if you do have a topic, if you do have an Ask Jen's question or video, if you do know of someone that you think, golly, they've got to be on the show, there is a message that needs to be heard,
Yes.
please let me
Great.
know. Reach out to me on YouTube, reach out to me on my Facebook page or any other social media platform. My YouTube channel is Jen's Johnson, G with the Jens. And, you know, usually I close with laughter is the best medicine, but we're running a little bit short. So we're going to close with this "You are a badass" talking button. Okay.
Look
and
at
while
this.
and while Terri is getting that out, I do want to say that, you know, one of the things that's very near and dear to my heart is the mastermind that I do facilitate. And like I said, it's really an environment of love. That's one of the things I do, is create environments of love.
Yes.
And fun, right. And we read the book. There it is. Join my mastermind. If anyone is interested, please reach out and get more information. And one of the books that we read is "You Are a Badass" by Jen Sincero.
Yes.
And I always say, because you are a badass. So Terri walks in. Terri, tell us what this little badass button
gosh.
does, and then we're gonna leave you with the very
Okay.
last one of these. So
Okay.
okay, you can do it. How would you like
She's
to listen
very
to this
sassy.
now?
Do what you love.
Do what you love.
What did Jen say about
You
love?
gotta do- it's all
we
about
did not
love.
plan this.
Create your reality.
You create your reality, because you do.
Feed fear a suck it sandwich.
Okay. I don't quite know what that one said. I think that's-
Feed fear a suck it sandwich,
Okay, yes,
not
and-
the F.
Yeah, you got to feed fear with that. And I will tell you, if you are interested in any more information, please reach out to me, reach out to Terri Rivera. We will be happy to help you. We'll get more information about her event in August 15th, and then November 2nd, put it there on the calendar. And if we can help you in any way, please let us know. So until we meet again next Monday, 3 p.m. Central, be big, be bold, and most importantly, be you. Bye-bye.